Okay, tonight I'm going to show you guys how to take apart an NES cartridge and clean it. And by clean it, I mean the proper way of cleaning it, and that is to clean the pins as well, so that when you plug your NES cartridges into your system, they should boot up first time. So to begin, I have a few supplies that you'll need to gather. First of all, you'll need a security bit screwdriver, and you can get these on Amazon or eBay for fairly cheap. I got these two. This is the system security bit driver. Um, it's a little bit bigger, and the cartridge security bit driver. I got both of those on Amazon for I think $10 or $11. Obviously, you'll need your cartridge. I've got Castlevania 3 here. As you can see, I maybe overpaid for that a little bit, but not too bad. You'll also need some Windex. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. Yep, Windex. You'll also need paper towels, some isopropyl rubbing alcohol. Now, I wouldn't get anything less than 50% because there's too much water content in it, and that can actually cause your chips to deteriorate. So I usually use 72 or 91% isopropyl rubbing alcohol. Thing is with this stuff, though, is you'll want to avoid coming into contact with any of your labels. That includes the printed on labels onto the system as well, because it will actually rub the paint right off. As you can see, I made that mistake. You'll need lots and lots of Q-tips, possibly some cotton balls, and the most important ingredient is Weeman's brass polish. Now, you can use any type of brass polish, but I choose Weeman's because it's a little bit cheaper and basically does the same job. So I'm going to go ahead and get my supplies out of the way and get my desk set up here. I've already got my alcohol in this cup. Need a little bit of Weeman's in this one. You don't need a whole lot of the brass polish. If you plan on doing a couple of cartridges, obviously you'll need more, but just for one cartridge you only need a dab. So I'm going to go ahead and take this sticker off here first of all. Be real careful with your stickers. A lot of times people, as you can see, will print them right on the label of your cartridge, which is, in my opinion, a stupid idea if you're trying to appeal to collectors. But anyways, so for these aren't too bad. Just pull up and out, kind of put some tension. I don't know if you can see, put some tension on it as you're pulling it up, and it should get all the sticky off of it. There's also one here on the spine. That one should come off no problem. This cartridge is actually in pretty good condition. As you can see, the label's pretty much mint intact. There's not a whole lot of dirt, nothing scuffed. One thing that you really want to be careful of is sometimes cartridges will have like this clear plastic coating over it. If you notice that your cartridge label has any of that clear plastic coating missing, you don't want to clean it too much. And I use Windex for the labels. Windex is actually really good at getting dirt off but not corroding your labels. But if you're missing any of that plastic coating, you definitely don't want to clean it too vigorously because you'll rub the label off. But you can tell if it's missing any of that by kind of doing a little shine test. You can see with the light there that all of the plastic coating is shining and it is intact. So there's nothing missing there. Alright. So I've got the labels off. You've got 3 security screws there. And you want to use the smaller of the 2 screwdrivers to go ahead and Don't put too much pressure because you don't want to break the pegs holding the screws in place. And you can see my magnet came out with that screw, so we're just going to take the magnet off. Since I'm going to go ahead and open this cartridge, I'll go ahead and explain a few things that you'll want to look for too when you open your cartridge to tell whether or not your cartridge is a fake or if it's real. The most important thing is to look for on the PCB anything that says Nintendo. If it says Nintendo, chances are it's pretty much legitimate. And you can see right there that it says Nintendo. Usually the chips will also say Nintendo. Not always. Sometimes it says Sony if it's an older chip. But you can see that down there it says NES as well. Some of the fake ones won't say Nintendo anywhere on the boards, and these chips sometimes will be either smaller or missing, and they'll have in place what's called a glop top chip, which is basically just a round glob of black plastic. So to start, go ahead and set my board aside. You go ahead and get some alcohol on a Q-tip, and I always just, unless your cartridge is really dirty, and you can see this one's not too bad, I just go ahead and clean right here where the PCB sits, because that's where most of the dust collects, and you don't want that in your system. So you just clean that area there. And again, if it's not too dirty, you don't have to worry about it, but sometimes you'll get in the crevices and the cracks and the corners there, you'll see, years and years of dirt collect. If you do have that, lots of dirt collecting, just take a toothpick and kind of put it down in the edge and just, scrape it back and forth, and that'll usually get the dirt up. And then you'll probably want to go over it 2 or 3 more times with the alcohol swab just to get all the dirt out. But you want to basically swab until your swab is completely dirty. This one's not too bad, obviously, but if you are getting a lot of dirt up with your swab, you'll want to swap swabs out, and just keep doing it until the swab comes up clean, because basically you're putting dirt into your system if you don't get it all out. So I've got that half of the shell. Still have my screws in there. And get the other side of the swab clean, or dabbed in alcohol, and then clean the other half of the shell. Same thing. I'm not going to worry about the rest of the shell because, like I said, this cartridge is pretty clean. And guys, I apologize for the video. I'm doing this on my iPhone kind of as a trial run to see how this will be my first YouTube video that I've actually made. This area right here on the cartridge, you can tell, collects a lot of dust and dirt. That's where you're pulling it in and out of the system. And so a lot of, fingers and dirt and grime gets collected in there. And that can be a pretty pesky area to clean. Again, same as the inside of the cartridge, you're just going to swab it with alcohol. If that doesn't get all of the dirt out, you still have dirt in the crevices, then you'll want to take a toothpick or something similar to a toothpick and scrape it out again, and use the alcohol swab to clean it until it's completely clean. Alright, so that's basically that. I'm not going to worry too much again about this shell. It's pretty clean. I will get this, again, little area on this part of the shell. It does have a little bit there. And again, don't get your alcohol too close to the label. Sometimes the alcohol can actually seep from one spot that you're cleaning into another spot and get underneath your label that way. So you want to just really pay attention to where you're putting your alcohol and make sure that it's not going anywhere that you don't want it to go. This little ridge right here is pretty risky if you're cleaning that area with alcohol. Sometimes if my cartridge is real dirty around this area, I'll just use Windex to clean it the best I can and not worry too much about it, because if that alcohol gets under there, it's going to destroy your label, because it can actually melt the glue that's holding the label on too. Alright, so that's that. I'll go ahead and start reassembling. No, I'm sorry, I didn't clean the pins yet. So let's get to the PCB. So this part is going to take a little elbow grease. You've got your PCB. Both sides of the PCB have, as you can see, brass pins. And it's real hard to tell what the corrosion is. You know, years of blowing in these cartridges and putting them in and out of dirty systems can cause them to corrode. But you can kind of see there's a very, very faint line right there where you can tell the pins on the system make contact with the cartridge. And usually that's about where most of the dirt sits, is right in that area. So to get this clean, you've got your Weeman's brass polish. You take cotton swab, and you just want to kind of roll the cotton swab in the Weeman's. You don't want to saturate it, you don't want it dripping, but you do that, and then you take your Weeman's. I wish there was a better angle for me to do this. And then you just kind of roll and swipe like that until it's on there. Now this is the hard part. You just take your cotton swab and you kind of go in all directions. I start out with a swirl. Let's see if I can move this so you get a better angle of what I'm doing here. Okay, that's a little better. So I start out with a swirl. And then just go back and forth. And then up and down. And for this part, you don't really need to switch out the cotton swabs quite yet. You kind of want to just use the same cotton swab to do the initial cleaning. But once you've got those pins nice and clean and you're pretty sure you've got every spot, then you go ahead and flip the cotton swab over. Kind of take the cotton swab and get the excess brass polish off of it. Just keep swabbing, keep swabbing. You want to put a little elbow grease into it. I use cheap plastic Q-tips because the cheap ones actually are a little more grainy and actually do a little better job of being abrasive on the brass, which is what you kind of want. And the plastic sticks are better because they're a little more flexible without bending too much or snapping. So you want to do that. Now that you've got that done, then you go ahead and take your alcohol. And this part you don't have to worry too much about getting the alcohol anywhere crazy because you're not going to really hurt your PCB. But you want to take your alcohol and just get your excess cleaner up. And this is where the dirt really comes off. You can really tell that this is... Actually, this one's pretty clean. You can tell there's a little bit of discoloration, but not bad. But you can see on the previous cotton swab how dirty that really was. I mean, it doesn't look like it because you can see right here, I haven't done that one yet and it doesn't look that dirty, but that's how much dirt came off of it on both sides. You can see that it's pretty much black. And this is a good quality cartridge too. You can only imagine what some of your other cartridges would look like if you cleaned them. So that's that. And I'm not going to clean this whole entire cartridge for, the sake of time. I'll go ahead and put it back together and finish cleaning this one later. But to put it back together, you just go in reverse order. You can't put the cartridge in wrong. I'm sorry, I got the wrong part. You can't put the cartridge in wrong, the PCB into the cartridge wrong, because there's these pegs here on both sides, and they're actually in different spots and shaped very slightly different. So, and you can tell the PCB also has these slots here on both sides. It'll only go in one way, so you don't have to worry about messing it up. You can see that slides in nice and neat. If you try to put it in wrong, it won't go. That just doesn't line up. So we'll put it back the way it goes. And it goes upside down. The PCB goes upside down in the front part of the cartridge. There's the front of the cartridge. There's the PCB. It's upside down. You can tell because the chips are on the other side. And you take your cartridge shell. You've got these notches right there. Kind of line up with the notches up top, and you close the lid. Put your screws back in. Take your bit driver. Put it back together. Screw it back down. And that's it. I'm going to do another video of a before and after of cleaning a system and a cartridge. I'll put the dirty cartridge in the dirty system and try to play it and see how it works. Chances are I'll probably have to restart it, blow in it a couple times, and I may or may not even get it to work then. And then I'll clean the system and clean the cartridge itself and try again, and you'll be able to see the difference immediately. I've cleaned several cartridges, several systems, and it's been my experience that every time you clean the both the motherboard pins and the cartridge pins and replace the pin connectors, that the system will always start up immediately without hassle. You actually don't even need to replace the pin set. You can clean that as well, and I can make another video on how to do that as well. Alright, thanks for watching.